What is up, guys? Games of Bacon here, and today we're going to be looking at the super basic animation cancels for the Ranger, and they're pretty easy to do, honestly. And the first thing I want to say is I have a link in description to a low skill point build that's super useful to start off with. You can build from that however you like, take whatever abilities you think you'll need or you like, but it's generally what you're going to want for, start a PvP and PvE. It's a really, really good starting base build. And the first thing you'll probably notice about it is that there's no spirit healing. And yep, that's like that on purpose. You don't really need it straight off the bat. You just chug mana pots like they are money. You just drink them, and you just go crazy, use them on the 5-second cooldown. So something to bear in mind, but eventually you'll get into your 500 skill point-ish area and then suddenly put in 30 skill points into spirit healing. Not too much of a problem. So with that said, let's get on to the skill animation cancel, shall we? I'm going to make it super quick. I'm not going to spend too much time on them because they're very, very simple and easy to use. I've got my little key thing up so you can see what buttons I'm pressing, and hopefully you'll be able to follow along. If you do have any questions after the video, pop them in the comment section and I'll be happy to answer them for you. So first things first, we have evasive shot. If you don't know, it's kind of like you press left click and then you press a direction, and that does this, which is slightly underwhelming, really. It's not too bad, but whatever. So if you press F with it, F kind of is your kick, and that's going to allow you to cancel the animation. And you'll see what I mean. If I hold down left click and F and then I tap A and D, you get this effect, which is very, very cool. And it doesn't use a massive amount of stamina. You can actually get away with using it a lot, especially if you kind of hold off on the animation cancel for a second, which I'll show you here. You can kind of let the kick kind of half go, and that actually regens a bit your stamina while she's doing the kick, but you still have a lot of movement. Another thing you can do is you can hold down the middle mouse button and you can look in a different direction, which allows you to then shoot in a different direction. So whether you're chasing someone or running from someone, you can still fire at them at the same time, which is always cool. Again, that's you hold down the middle mouse button and you can shoot in that direction, whether you're going towards them or away from them. So the next one is going to be Pinpoint, and we all know what Pinpoint is. You left click and then you press S, and that does 3 kind of arrows in a very short amount of time. So we don't use this one very often at all, really. You don't really use it other than when you're super, super low on mana and you're fighting against NPC mobs. It's no good in PvP, and it's not really very good in PvE either, but it does get used occasionally. But the idea is you press left click S and then you can A and D, and that will allow you to shoot off a lot of arrows very, very shortly, which can be good for mana regen. It's about the only thing you use it for occasionally. Next one, we have Blasting Gust. This is going to be our Q. This is like our bread and butter. One thing you want to know is that with this ability, you actually regen more mana than you use, but only when on a large condensed pack. If you're hitting 4 or 5 mobs or more, you'll actually get more mana back from it. So it can be good for regenerating your mana, especially when you're doing something like the Shrine, or you're doing Catfish or something where there's high density mobs, and you can hold down left click, a direction, and Q, and that will allow you to do that. You can just instantly fire them off, and you get a really, really good dodge thrown in there as well. It gives you a lot of movability. It does a lot of damage. It gives you mana back in PvE. Not PvP though, unfortunately. Not much anyway. And yeah, it's just super, super useful, and you can do that a lot because it uses more mana than stamina. So if you're chugging pots while you're doing it, you tend to be able to go for quite a while. So again, that's left click, a direction, and Q. Next one, we have Willow the Wind. This usually is only available to do on a hotkey, but you can actually do it in game with just a shortcut, and the shortcut is either A or D, which is obviously a direction for you, and then just press F, and there you go. You fire it off, and you also dodge to the side of the direction you're wanting to go. And yeah, this can be super, super useful. Say for example, someone comes up to you melee and they jump on top of you, or you've got a bunch of mobs in front of you. It will knock down NPC mobs, and it will also do a lot of damage in PvP. So if someone melee runs up to you like a Valkyrie or something, you can always use that to do a bit of damage as well as dash away. Very, very useful. Or you can use it to knock down a bunch of mobs in PvE. Other than that, it doesn't really get used so much, to be honest. because what I tend to use it for is I use it as a gap between getting up or moving away and the next ability, Charging Wind. Now, ultimate Charging Wind is very, very cool. One thing to note is that Charging Wind, all these don't do anything. You don't need them. But ultimate Charging Wind is very, very strong indeed. Very good in PvE, very good in PvP. So the way this works is, again, you hold down left click and a direction. You're probably starting to get the pattern here. There's lots of that. And then we just hit space. And you suddenly start shooting off this giant shotgun-like effect. And it's very, very good. Very, very high damage. And if you're ever gonna be like ganked by someone and they're in melee, shoot that at them a couple times. They will definitely rethink it, because it does a hell of a lot of damage in PvP. Like, I can 2 or 3 shot someone. If a Valkyrie doesn't put his shield up, he's pretty much done. So that's very, very cool as well. So that's kind of the basic animation cancels, right? So you got, evasive shot, you got pinpoint, you got your Q, you got Willow the Wind, and you got, your charging wind as well. So what other kind of cool things can a ranger do that perhaps you might not know straight away? Well, you can do the double jump from evasive explosive shot, which is, evasive explosive shot, right? This one. And then you press left click and then you do that. Alright, you throw a bunch of bombs on the floor. Well, have you ever tried clicking again or just accidentally done it? Because if you click again, you can jump away. Which is very, very useful, especially in PvP. Because if, again, someone in melee comes up and tries to attack you, if you don't want to Willow the Wind, but you just want to get away because perhaps they're going to one-shot you or, they've got their combo up, what you can do is you can right-click, which, by the way, does a stagger in PvP. So they'll be staggered for a split second, like half a second or something like that. Doesn't sound like much, but it is very useful. Allows you to just jump away and then just blow the friggin' face off of them. So that's very, very cool, right? Being able to jump away whilst doing damage and it doesn't cost you much at all. Very cool. What's another thing we can do? Well, I have this ability here. Flow, Call from the Sky. 2 things we can do with Call from the Sky. Number 1, you don't have to press shift. It says on the tooltip, I'll show you again. It says, left mouse button while sprinting, after a dash attack, press space, basically. So what you think you need to do is you need to be running with shift and then you press space or press left click and then space. But you don't actually have to. If you're just running normally like this, if you very, very quickly tap the left click, the left mouse button, you will actually do a dash attack. And you have to very, very briefly press it. If you press it for a split second too long, you'll stand still. So you got to bear that in mind. You need to very, very, very quickly press it. And then we can press space after to start the combinations. So left click, space, and that will give us that. And we can do that quite a lot. If we're good enough with our timing, which I apparently still need to work on just a tiny bit, but you'll get it. Just practice. And yeah, left click and then jump. Uses a little bit of stamina, but not a massive amount. And there's 2 things we can do after that. We can left click, jump, and then we can left click again. That's going to stop us in midair, throw us backwards. So not very good if you're wanting to escape, but good if you wanted to do extra damage. And perhaps you've run out of mana or you've just got stamina and nothing much else to do. It doesn't cost anything after that. So you can get a free evasive shot, basically, the explosion evasive shot. And you just get, it doesn't cost you any mana at all. You can see my health and mana bar are not showing up because it's not costing me anything. Which is great, it just cost me a bit of stamina, and not even much of that either. So there's some free damage for you if ever you need it. But say, for example, you are actually trying to actively run away from someone, and it's like a warrior or a Valkyrie or a tamer, and they're just not leaving you alone. So we can dash, jump, and we can right click, and that's going to kind of throw us off the ground. It does a minor stutter. It's not very much at all. But it's enough to kind of allow us to get away a bit. And the big difference here is that it carries you on. It throws you forward a little bit and you can just carry on walking. There's no stop in between the animations. They're very, very fluid. And that's the very, very cool thing there. So you can use that to get away, and then you can shift away or whatever. Whatever you like. Ooh, I'm messing it up because I'm retarded. There we go, you get the gist. So it's left click, left click, space, and then right click, and then you can run away. or you can left click space and then left click again to do some free damage. And so it's very, very useful indeed. So all these things, guys, I've shown you, just practice them. Practice, practice, practice. You'll get better and better at them. And as you PvP, you can use them better, more frequently, and without having to worry about, you know, doing the wrong or whatever. And yeah, very, very cool. So I really, really hope that's helped, guys. If you're playing a ranger and you weren't sure about these things, there you are. They're very, very basic. There are other things you can do as well. And as I skill up and I get these extra skills and I'm able to do them, I will definitely make videos about them. But that could take a while, so I don't know when that's going to happen. Anyway, guys, thank you very much. I hope you've enjoyed watching. And if you need to know anything or anything I can make a video about, just let me know. Put a comment in the comments section. And yeah, I will see you next time, guys. Thank you very much.